I know that H. John Benjamin, and I keep forgetting the actor who actually plays Brendan Small.
Brendan Small.
Really?
That's his name, yeah.
Clip that.
I know we're 2 seasons in, but really?
Hello, and welcome back to Rewatching Home Movies, a weekly watch-along podcast where 3 friends break down the 1999 animated series, Home Movies. My name is Tim, and I'm obsessed with home movies.
My name's Adele, and I'm a home movies newbie.
And my name's Marcin, and I've never seen home movies.
Home Movies Season 2, Episode 7, titled Dad.
Is it like just D-A-D?
Just D-A-D.
How would you say it? Would you say it, Dad?
I guess I would just say Dad.
I'd say Dad.
Dad.
Given the
circumstances.
plot. Yes.
Would you
Well-
go, Dad. Dad.
Dad.
Dad.
Dad.
Original air date February 17th, 2002 on Adult Swim. Written by Brendan Small, Bill Broadus, and cast. Directed by Lauren Bouchard and produced by Melissa Barton-Galsky. Synopsis for this episode. Brendan spends the weekend with his dad and his dad's girlfriend. Meanwhile, Coach McGurk helps out a new kid.
So there was no really ABC plot to this one. It was just A and a little bit of B.
I think so, yeah. I think that was definitely the main focus of this one.
Which
the
I
McGurk stuff.
appreciated.
Yeah,
It
same.
needed to be. It definitely needed to be. I have a lot of big thoughts on this episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But before we jump into that, let's jump into the creative corner, shall we? The creative corner, of course, something creative that we're consuming, producing, whatever that we want to bring to the spotlight. Let's get into the creative corner. Bob. Creative corner.
Thanks for being here, Bob.
We appreciate it. Who would like to go first? Or shall
I guess I can go first. This is something that isn't so much as I am consuming as much as I just really want to spotlight it. It's the Internet Archive. We are in a time where media is being lost, like any type of physical media is becoming lost media, and that goes the same for digital media. Mm-hmm. We don't know, especially because a lot of corporations have, movies, TV shows on their streaming platforms that just disappear and can never watch. I probably will never be able to watch Infinity Train but they just delete it off the things. Digital things aren't forever. Even if you bought it, they have put in the licenses like, no, you just have the license to it.
Yeah,
Which is wild.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that Steam just did. One of the biggest video game clients for PC had to update their terms and conditions and say, yeah, you're paying for this. You don't own it.
Which is wrong. It's wrong.
It's absolutely wrong.
You're going to pay $60 for a game and then take it away from me because something on your end? No.
Yeah. I wish I could remember the context of it, but there was a quote that I remember someone who made a video game saw someone that was pirating it and said, like, I don't care. If you can afford it, then yeah, for sure. But I don't think art should be gatekept by money. Like, it should be experienced, not just bought and paid for. But the reason Internet Archive is so important to me is because it's nonprofit and it's specifically there for historically gathering everything that happened on the internet. Like, there are so many things lost to time. Human history is we're at 1% of anything that's going on. That's the only thing of history is like a written history is 1% of the actual history.
Yeah.
And we lost so much stuff in the Library of Alexandria. So many historians are so upset by that, obviously, because we lost so much history. But one solar flare and the entire history of the internet is wiped. And so the Internet Archive is doing as much as they can to try and archive everything that's on the internet and not just let it become lost media.
Yeah.
So it's not so much as something I'm consuming, but I am just please help the Internet Archive, dude. Just be aware of it, make sure that it doesn't go away because it's very important, especially now.
Yeah.
Am I mistaken? Have I downloaded old video game ROMs off Internet Archive? I feel like
Yep.
I've done searches where it's like, oh, I want this old Nintendo game that I have sitting in my attic. And it's like, yeah, Internet Archive, you can go back and find all that stuff.
Exactly. And there's so much stuff that a new generation will not have access to, like video games. If the second the software is gone, movies. There are so many movies that have just disappeared because of fires or someone not storing it correctly. And the Internet Archive is something that I think everyone should realize is very important as far as history.
I mean, there are a lot of niche video games that were released as digital releases only. There was a Scott Pilgrim one for PS3, and then they lost the license to one of the songs in the game and had to take it down from all the stores.
Yeah.
So it was like, unless you bought and downloaded this game previous, you will never play that game.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Life under capitalism sucks, and it means that we lose out on everything just because we don't have enough money.
Yeah. To add on to that, we've become so obsessed with money and capitalism that we no longer have any interest in preserving what we are doing as people in general.
Yeah.
It's just screaming into the void. There's no meaning behind any of it. It's just... We got to do better, people.
We really do. So the last thing to button up this, I'll say this is from the About of the Internet Archive. Like a paper library, we provide free access to researchers, historians, scholars, people with print disabilities, and the general public. Our mission is to provide universal access to all knowledge. I think that's very important. I think anyone out there who is consuming any type of media, I think one of my creative corners beforehand was talking about how I loved this podcast. Is this the podcast? And they just deleted it one day because they didn't want to continue keeping it on the platform. It's gone now forever. Yeah. I'll never be able to enjoy it again. And if you have media that is digitized that you care about so much and you want to continue it into the future, you should probably take a look at Internet Archive and realize how important it is.
Absolutely.
It's always wild to me when people say the internet is forever when that's really not true. We have no control over that. All they have to do is flip a switch and it's all gone.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's something very important to think about, especially considering how much of our content we consume digitally. When was the last time you had a physical movie in your hand besides Redbox, which
And you think of like all the like Facebook pictures and all the stuff that you're documenting your life is just we don't know, it could be gone all in one foul swoop.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's like whatever pictures you have on your social media that you want to keep, print them out so you have them.
Please, please, please remember that this is not forever.
Definitely something to keep in mind, and something I think we take for granted. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Really.
That was a very good creative corner.
Thank you.
Would you like to go next, or would you like me to go next?
Well, I can go next.
Okay.
So, again, mine's not really a particular creative person or creator in general. This is mainly just like a rabbit hole I've been falling down pretty much almost every day. And that is this idea of being self-sustainable and things like gardening and homesteading, canning your own food, making your own herbal medicine. Because along the same vein as Marcin here, none of this is permanent. Capitalism isn't even permanent. But, just in case something silly happens and we can't get to the grocery store, I'm going to have a stockpile of food that I grew myself, that I know where it came from. And as somebody who lives in an apartment complex and can't have their own garden, it is definitely like a pipe dream that I dream about one day, having my own home, having my own backyard, having my own garden where I can grow my own food, know exactly where it's coming from, know that it's not pumped full of poison or whatever the fuck they're putting in our food, and just have a sense of peace around not being so reliant on the system. And that's kind of the rabbit hole. And I think it's something that we should all be thinking about to some extent, because to depend on Big Brother is such a temporary and scary concept, and we should really just be depending on ourselves.
Yeah. My family's from Kentucky. We have a piece of land out there, like it's called. My grandfather basically bought a mountain when he had money.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's mountain money.
Yeah, and he like bought a bus and like painted himself next to Marilyn Monroe and,
my.
and Dean
Do you
Martin.
have a picture of this bus?
God, I do somewhere. I just have to find it.
If you find it, I want to see it.
It's on the Internet Archive.
If I can put it on Internet Archive, I definitely will. But like he bought a piece of land out there in Kentucky. It's called, and it's such a big property. And going down there was kind of our like safe haven, as far as like, we're gonna come down here and like, here's this, we're gonna do that. Like the water, we have like a tap in the mountain that produces spring water. So
this sounds like good commune land.
I'm just Just
Yep.
Yep.
I might bleep out the exact location just because I don't want anybody to come find us.
Yeah,
That's
no,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
Put the beep over that.
But-
We're over here like, let's go to Ireland.
But no, like being sustained and like gardening.
Yes.
My mother was a gardener. She had a garden in the backyard growing up, and always having the tomatoes. And it
Same
was
with my mom.
yeah.
Yep.
It was. The first time I had like vegetables from a garden was weird because it's like, this isn't the right shape that I see at the grocery
It's
store.
not pretty.
Yeah, exactly. It's not filled with pesticides. Gardening, cooking,
Yep.
things that they should have been teaching in schools instead of
Absolutely.
like math. And
Yep.
I mean, you teach math, obviously, but
Yeah. And reading, please.
For the
Please.
love of God.
did you know they banned To Kill a Mockingbird and 1984?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. And now they're going to ban, well, this isn't as substantial, but Twilight. They're
banning Twilight?
They're putting that on the same like level. I don't know.
It was the baseball scene. They're like, nope.
The
nope.
best scene in the whole thing. I can't. The only time I watch baseball is when I watch Twilight.
What's your favorite baseball team? Twilight.
The Cullens. Duh.
Yeah,
Let's
duh.
fucking go.
Oh my god.
That's funny. Well, that's also a very good creative corner. I am definitely very insecure about my creative corner now.
No.
Just make fun of capitalism and you're
Yeah.
good.
Oh, fuck. Nope, it's not that either. Okay, so my creative corner, it was a comedy show that I hosted recently. I got asked to host a show, not to timestamp this, but the show happened on November 6th of this year, and I accepted to do it because I do not put forethought into my life. And so I hosted a show on November 6th, and it was a benefit, and it was a gumbo cook-off. And the benefit was for a good cause, and anyone who knows the lore, listen to maybe Marson's Season of the Cursed live stream that he interviewed me on. We talked about this first show that I did, which was a certified shit show.
Sorry.
It was a certified shit show. Wop, 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 wop. We just, unfortunately, we didn't really schedule it correctly, and comedy was happening while people were eating, and boy, did they not care about comedy. So we were asked to do this show this year, and I was very hesitant to accept it, but I did as a hopeful kind of redemption arc. And we did. We rearranged the schedule. We made it so it actually made sense. We did comedy when people were done eating, and they were tallying votes. Let me just put it this way. I feel like the people that were there because they really needed a laugh at that time. Everybody was just there and engaged and having a good time. It was a very good cause. The comedians that we booked on the show, I would say 4 of the 5 comedians on this November 6th, we're not having a very good day. And we all kind of came together in solidarity of just kind of going through it and dealing with some stuff. But it was very nice for us comics to kind of come together. It was for a good cause. Everyone, except one comedian, had very, very good sets. The crowd liked it very much. Like I said, it went to a good cause. And then at the very end, we watched somebody win the 50-50 raffle. You buy raffle tickets, and then 50% goes towards the cause, and then the other 50% goes towards whoever's ticket is drawn. A gentleman won the raffle and then immediately gave all the money back it was for a women's shelter. It was to make money for that, so it was a really good cause. So it was a very good night. It was something that I feel me and majority of the comedians, we just needed. It was a very good distraction, but I am going to call out my favorite part of the evening, which is sitting in this little back area with just the comedians. One comedian who was like last minute added to the show, completely against my will. He started talking about some of the content of his material he planned on doing. And I won't get into too many specifics, but let's just say it was extremely inappropriate to do at a benefit for a women's shelter. And one of the comedians that was there that was having a pretty rough day looked at the man and he said, I would like you to read the fucking room. This is the content of your material. This is the purpose of us being here. Do not do those jokes. And basically what happened was that comedian went up first and did all of those jokes. So the comedians in the back just proceeded to fucking roast this man, his entire set. And then his set went so well that he walked off the stage and out the back door and left.
Good.
So it was very good. made the vibe in the comedians had their own booth. It made the vibe in the booth so much better. The women who were on the show were roasting that dude so fucking hard, and I was just like, yup.
Mm-hmm. Good. I thought it was going to be a different story. I was so worried. I was like, why is this your creative corner?
And you can cut this part out, but he asked like 3 or 4 more people after that guy told him to read the room if he should tell those jokes. Every single one of those people was like, don't do that. Don't do that. And he still didn't fucking listen.
Including the owner of the bar and person who was putting on the benefit.
Did he just not have anything else?
I don't think so.
I don't think he gave a flying fuck,
No,
dude.
he did not. And again, when the owner messaged me and said, hey, we had a last-minute dropout, I'm going to offer it to this. I said, you go ahead and do it. Hey, this is your gig. I'm just hosting. I have to let you know that I feel personally this man is insanely misogynistic and has absolutely no business on a benefit for a women's shelter. Okay, go ahead and book him.
Sometimes people will stop if they are called out and be like, oh, shit, I'm sorry. Like, I thought blah, 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 blah. But then people keep going.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer that from here on out, men, call out that shitty behavior in other men.
Amen. Men.
Because, trust me, so many times women would love to call you out on that behavior, but simply cannot.
Or they do, and they just get brushed
to the
off.
side, yeah. So, new rule, men, we call out the stinkers. Calling them out.
That's the spray.
The stink spray.
Spraying them down. And that is my creative corner.
That was a great creative corner. What are you saying?
Yeah, I think we all did a very good. This was a very good call to action.
Yes,
creative corner.
absolutely. So, okay, holy shit, let's jump into this episode, dude.
This is a big episode.
Can I say I did record your reaction? I tried to sneak it, but that second she's like, your dad will be here soon. Marcin jumped out of his chair.
He leapt.
I did leap, especially because I saw. So it opens up with Paula's trying to fix his jacket, and I was sitting there like, why has he got a jacket on? Where's he going? I've never seen this man with a jacket.
I literally put first time in jacket question mark.
And then I have a point about the jacket, but like the second it was like the father, I did like the cars coming out like oh shit,
we're finally doing it.
Yeah, like it's fucking yeah. We can't make it the beginning of the season.
No,
we can't do that. We got to give them. We got to give the audience a little bit of wiggle room. It's like 7 episodes
Dude,
in.
I saw my brother today. And I was like, yeah, we're going to go record. He's like, what episode? And I said, number 7. He goes, he said, does Marcin know? And I go, no. And he's like, oh, nice.
I legitimately just like leaped up. I was like, finally, we're fucking doing this.
Yes.
Because I have been waiting. I'll just say, and we'll get right into the episode after that, but like his dad is not what I expected.
His dad is such, I mean, like, he has his flaws, but he's such a sweet dad. Like, he just wants to, like, be with his son.
He is definitely not kind of, you would think, like, okay, this guy's a deadbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
know
just
if it's
a busy
ever...
dad.
Right, and I don't know if it's ever explicitly said, but I don't know his lack of presence in Brendan's life versus Paula's stopping him from being in Brendan's. I don't know if he's not around because he's that kind of dad, or Paula's like, hey, you know what? We're not going to do this.
Because of how he has just remained out of his life for so long, my version of Brendan's dad, and I had a very specific image of him, was Ricky and Jules from Trailer Park Boys combined. Like, that's who I was imagining Brendan's dad to be. Have you ever seen Trailer Park Boys?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, cool. Just Ricky and Jules combined. I thought he was going to be such a piece of shit.
The big reason my thought process of is he choosing not to or is Paula stopping him is simply based on the fact that he is a lawyer.
Yeah.
He obviously, from his living situation, his car, everything, he seems to be making good money. And multiple times leading up to this episode, we've established Paula is struggling.
Yeah, where's the child support?
That's
Andrew.
the thing. But that's the thing. Maybe Paula is just that much of not wanting him in her life and Brendan's life that she doesn't want child support. She's not reaching out to ask for money. This is a cartoon, so who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows if there's even really any forethought to why he is the way he is.
But
Yeah.
But you do have to wonder if this man is a lawyer and he's got money, why isn't he helping Paula and Brendan?
That's so true. And I mean, we can get into like the details of it all, but like at one point he's upset that he wasn't in the know of something, and it's like, well, you aren't in his life.
Right.
I wrote that down too. I know exactly what you're talking about. And also the juxtaposition. There's a shot where Paula and Andrew are on the phone at one point, and they both have newspapers up, and one says like stocks, they're up,
Yeah.
and then she's like looking at classified.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into it. This episode opens and we're at the small residence. Multiple bags are packed, and Paula's trying to zip up a jacket on Brendan. Paula tells Brendan to have fun, and he points out that she told him that about 12 times already.
Yeah, so Paula seems jealous that Brendan's like choosing to hang out with the dad, or like the dad's even involved. She seems like a bit off in the beginning, like, yeah, have fun. No, go ahead, have fun.
Yeah. And he's like, no, you have fun.
Yeah.
See how it feels?
Also, I want to point out, I don't know if that was Paula's hair in the zipper or if it was Melissa's hair in the zipper, because they were both purple. Or it could have been Eric's hair in the zipper.
Yeah,
I didn't even see the hair.
It was purple hair. I assumed it was Paula's. I don't know why I just assumed it was Paula's, but I mean, it could have been Melissa's. Maybe she was wearing it for a movie.
Yeah. That could be true. I just didn't understand because Paula's hair is usually darker, and then Melissa's is like a little bit lighter purple.
Yeah. Well, we see a car pull up in the background, and it honks, and it is La Cucaracha.
What was the vanity plate, Adele?
The vanity plate was Mad for Law.
This is true. Now, did you notice when Brendan was talking to Andrew outside, Paula was totally like peeping through the...
She sure was.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
I don't know if I think it's a mixture of maybe jealousy and also like worry, because this is the first time that he's hanging out with him like one-on-one.
Right.
I don't want to get into it, and maybe I could be wrong, but later on she shows a hint of, more than a hint, of jealousy, of just like missing him possibly.
Missing the dad, yeah.
Also, I did not. I thought he was going to be so much less put together. He looks like a reasonable dude.
Yeah.
And in my head, it wasn't that. I didn't expect that at all.
One more thing, I guess, before we really, really jump into this episode, and I suppose it is kind of an elephant in the room type situation. Brendan's dad, Andrew, is voiced by comedian Louis C.K. Louis C.K., he had some controversy around him. We won't get into any of that. Some people, I know in the comedy community, a lot of people are very quick to continue to support and defend him. I'm not going to get into any of that. Some people fuck with Louis C.K., some people don't. We're not really here to jump into that, really. We're here to talk about this show that he just happened to be a part of. Besides, obviously, this, I don't think we're really going to address it anymore. Separating the art from the artist, and we were talking about the character of Andrew Small, and let's just kind of leave it at that. So, Andrew Small, yes, is voiced by Louis C.K. I do want to get your guys' opinion on this very quick. This is a screenshot of the front of Andrew's car, Mad for Law. What do you guys see on the hood ornament?
A gnome.
Is it?
I didn't even notice.
He's got a little beard, little legs, little arms.
Okay.
Hat.
I think he's like
eyebrows.
is he like maybe a gold gnome with silver hat and beard?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. I wasn't exactly sure. I didn't want to call it a full-fledged, yep, that's a gnome, but I also wanted to show that to you guys.
So the fact that the gnomes are becoming much more prominent, and not just like, oh yeah, those are gnomes in the background randomly, like they're like put into the background as far as like statues.
Yeah,
and now there's
cookies.
and hood ornaments. There's got to be something more to that story now.
There has to be. Swingers. All of them.
Yeah, it could be. So now we're in the car with Andrew and Brendan. The conversation is a little awkward. Andrew points out that they talked on the phone, but the last time he saw him, he was a little bit shorter. What's up?
I was just going to talk about my favorite part of this scene. There was nothing said. It was just part of the animation.
I guess.
Yeah.
So they're having a conversation, and at one point, Brendan kind of looks over at his dad and then takes his hair and kind of combs it, like pushes it over so it looks like his dad's hair.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see how that would look, and then shakes it off and it goes back to his normal hair.
I thought that was really cute.
But there was a scene where Brendan visibly kind of clocks his dad's hair and then pushes his in a way so it looks similar, probably to see how much resemblance they have in each other.
Didn't even notice that part.
I think you were writing something down.
That's probably true, yeah. I wrote 4 pages. This is the longest.
Holy shit.
So obviously this was the point in which I wanted us to get to organically watching the episodes before we record. When you take off, I will be sending you with probably an SD card or a thumb drive with the remaining episodes on there.
So there's no other episodes that you want to watch my reaction for?
I mean, genuinely, probably with the we can do maybe season finales we can watch,
that's
and
fair.
then series finale too. But the dad episode was definitely the one that I wanted us to watch together. And now, if you want to watch the episodes beforehand, because Adele does as well.
That's fair.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Especially because this has been the one I've been waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I told Adele 7 episodes into season 2 until we get to it, so she kind of knew it was coming pretty quickly. I think we had 6 episodes. You were probably like, all right, maybe next season we'll touch it, but
I was expecting the series finale.
yeah,
Like, not the series, like this
the season 2 finale. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andrew floats out the idea of going to the zoo, and Brendan is down.
Did we talk about him getting cut off yet?
Nope, that's coming up
Okay,
right
sorry.
here. This is the point where Andrew says that he loves animals and points out that if he wasn't a lawyer, he'd probably be a zoologist. He makes that dumb joke where some people say that lawyers are like animals.
Better Call Saul.
He makes an offhanded comment about people just don't understand how hard he works, and he does it for you, Brendan. I'm going to call bullshit on that simply based off the fact that, yeah, like I said, it was pretty obvious Brendan and Paula have had financial issues in the past. Why would you even say it's for you? You haven't spoken or seen this kid in,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Forever.
Maybe it was just like a nervous thing or more of a like, hey, I'm back in your life. I do this for you,
We're
buddy.
trying. He did say that he's moved back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it just happened in the middle of the episode, but I didn't know if that was established early on or not. I thought I missed it.
No, I think he's like, yeah, now that I've moved back, we're going to see each other a lot more. So that's when Andrew brings up that they're going to meet his girlfriend Linda at the zoo too. And Brendan asks if she's one of the exhibits, and Andrew's like, oh, she could be. And Brendan's like, is she an animal? And Andrew is like, you're not kidding. So I feel like they were not quite on the same page because Brendan is like, oh, is she an animal? And like kind of making like scary faces. And Andrew's like with the elbow, like, oh, she is. Yeah, she could be, like, I think, he was saying like, yeah, she's an animal. And he's like, is she ugly or is she, what
Right.
I just don't think they were quite on the same page with that.
He was more like, yeah, she's an animal in the bedroom types of situation.
I think so. Just because Brendan was like, when he said animal, he like put up his nose and like dropped, like pulled an eye down to make it look like Uggo mode. So at this point, Andrew takes a call on an earpiece and Brendan thinks he's talking to him, like saying hello. And Brendan's like, what's up? So yeah, Brendan responds as if he was talking. He realizes he's taking a phone call and, I don't know, kind of rude. I'll give him that he's telling the work associate that he's taking the weekend off, taking his son to the zoo. He won't be available. So, I mean, yeah, I'll at least give him that. But I don't know. Like you're literally having your first conversation after you picked up your kid. Maybe call him back. I don't know. What do I know? So this is the point where Andrew gets cut off in traffic and lays on his horn. Now, we all caught it pretty much spot on. But yeah, that was definitely McGurk that cut him off.
Yep.
In his reckless mobile.
His fucking gloves. Yep.
Yep. Andrew goes to honk at him, and it's La Cucaracha again. And Brendan even comments, nice horn.
That's what that was. Okay, I didn't hear that. I thought that was McGurk's car.
I did
No,
it too.
that was, and the only reason we know that is because when he pulled up, you
honked.
hear La Cucaracha, and Paul is like, he's here, and he's like, I hope you mean the burrito man.
I did not know where this episode was going as far as, I knew it was going to be a dad episode.
Sure.
But when McGurk showed up, I got very tickled at the idea of dad versus dad.
Yeah.
Like McGurk just getting really jealous over Brendan and oh, where have you been?
I wonder, that might happen in the future. I don't know.
Funny you say that.
I'm looking forward to that.
And I think literally a handful of episodes. Yeah.
I love the smell of McGurk in the morning.
So we get to the zoo and meet Linda. Linda is voiced by Laura Silverman, who is Sarah Silverman's sister. She's also an actress, a voice actress, and she's been in a few things. So she asks them where they've been, and Andrew mentions they're early. And her reply is, yeah, well, so was I.
Linda.
I want to know, first off, what's her job? Like, because she talks about, like, yeah, you're just
She
shaking your head.
volunteers.
She is a volunteer.
Yep. She doesn't
Linda
have a
is the type to volunteer one day at a hospital and be like, yeah, I work at a hospital.
Yeah.
To volunteer one day at a zoo and be like, yeah, I work at a zoo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, Andrew's a lawyer. Look at his apartment.
Yeah.
Does she have to have a job?
I think she doesn't want the job.
No.
Who knows? Maybe they have an arrangement where, Andrew's
She's an
like,
animal.
well, no, I was going to say, but
You're shaking your head at me.
Because I know where you're going with it.
She's an animal. That was the arrangement.
You be an animal and I pay the bills.
I meant it more in the Brendan way, but yeah.
Yes.
so when Andrew was like, yeah, we're early, and she's like, well, yeah, so was I. That red flag immediately triggered me because I have dated a Linda or two in my day.
Yeah, I just have a lot of family members like her, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in Brendan's shoes a lot, where I just watch people treat other people badly. So that was a bad time.
Yeah, I've definitely met a Linda or two in my life and hear how they talk to their boyfriend, and you're just like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me feel for Andrew because I've been there, but then I'm also like, run.
I just don't understand the concept of dating somebody that you hate.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I can't say that. That's a mean thing. No. I was going to make fun of religion, but it's fine.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time on this podcast.
Yeah, it's true. It's too much all in one.
I get it.
go.
I get it.
I don't get the concept of dating someone you hate either, but I don't think they recognize that they hate that. I
Right.
think it's just like, I'm a big, successful lawyer, and now I need to get married for
Yeah.
third time?
No. It
Second
would be
time.
second, yeah.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
explain that later. I mean, I don't know. Maybe coming from someone who's been in an Andrew position, I there have been times where I'm in a relationship like that where I'm like, I can't do any better. It's this or nothing. And when you're young and dumb, I mean, not that Andrew is, but in my case, it's like, it's this or nothing, and I don't want nothing.
Yeah. That's
But I don't have to worry about that now.
Yeah. That's such like a high school mentality.
Yeah,
like,
probably because I was in high school.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You're just growing up, and you're like, oh, I got it. I don't want to end up alone.
Yeah, not all
Like
of them, but
Starboy?
some of them, yes. Yeah, so I'm not a fan of Linda.
No.
Let me just put it that way.
She's a bitch.
So Andrew introduces Brendan to Linda, and Linda even said, I had a hellish day at work or at the hospital. Linda continues to complain about her day, and she tells them that someone ran over her toe in a wheelchair. That's when Brendan asks her if she's a doctor, and she's like, no. He's like, a nurse? And she's like, no. He's like, a patient? And that's when Andrew points out that she's a volunteer. So Brendan points out, well, one time my friend Jason ran over my toe with a skateboard, so I can relate. And Linda kind of snaps at him. And she's like, yeah, a 250-pound man in a wheelchair is a little different from a 4-year-old on a skateboard.
She got in his face.
Don't you think?
I felt like she pointed a finger, but I could have just easily made that up.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
Fucking Linda.
And I mean, and to Brendan's credit, he's like, yeah, I mean, I think you're right, but I broke my toe when it happened. And that's when Andrew is like, oh, you broke your toe? What? No. When? And Brendan's like, when Jason hit it with the skateboard.
And his reaction pissed off Linda.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
She's like, you didn't react like that when I hurt my toe.
Yeah.
What
I'm
doesn't-
surprised she didn't say that.
I know, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, what doesn't she get pissed off at?
Right.
I don't think she was happy this entire episode. I don't think there's a single time where she was happy
No.
or even enjoying herself in any way.
I was going to make a joke when we first introduced Linda and being like, you know what? I don't think she's in the wrong for here, but I can't do that even as a bit because I think the entire time she's just jealous that anyone else is getting attention
Yeah.
from anybody.
So Andrew asks, oh, Linda, your toe hurts. Should we just go? And she's like, no, I said I would do the zoo with you boys, so let's do the zoo. So we have a little montage of their day at the zoo. I will say first, did you guys notice that was the same little montage music as Jason playing with Walter and Perry?
I didn't even realize that.
I didn't either.
I believe I went back and double checked because it's the montage music from that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is either the same montage music from Walter and Perry and Jason playing or Shannon harassing the school.
Creating crimes.
Yeah.
Creating crimes?
Yeah, he
Committing
did.
crimes?
He did create some crimes, though.
He's a creative guy.
Yeah. His creative corner is crimes.
Oh, blue eyes.
So the montage, they're eating ice cream. Brendan and Andrew are laughing at a kid who dropped his ice cream. Okay. They were in Snake Land. Andrew uses a fake snake to scare Brendan. They're in the bat cave where you can't see anything, and then Andrew lights a lighter, and all the bats cover their eyes. I don't know if you saw that. Once he lights the lighter, all the bats are like, ah.
No, I didn't see that.
I just saw Linda there, and I was like, ah! I thought that was a nice animation, reference to the 5th episode where they were all in...
All eyeballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well could have been. The last thing, they're in the bird cage, and Brendan is holding a bird, and then we see something white fall on his shoulder. You think it's bird poop. It's actually Andrew's ice cream as he's kissing Linda goodbye. So the rest of the montage is just Andrew and his dad, and they look like they're having fun.
I was worried about that. I thought they weren't really going to... I thought it was going to be a very awkward day between the two of them instead of... They actually showed that they had a good time and were building a good relationship with each other.
They warmed up to each other, and it was like they had more in common than they realized type situation.
Yeah, I think so. And also, I think it kind of points out the fact that the beginning with Linda there was a little rough with, the whole running over the toe and whatever and her attitude in general. But then it seemed like once she left Andrew and Brendan, then they were just having a grand old time.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it just shows that with Linda in the mix, it does make things a little more complicated. But at the core, Brendan and his dad are getting along very well. We see Brendan and his dad, and they're looking at a very beautiful and rare tiger. It seems to be sleeping. So Andrew says the tiger is very rare, and Brendan says he likes his beautiful animals medium rare. There it is. Solid dad joke. So that's when Linda shows back up, and Andrew makes a joke that he thought one of the animals got her. And that's when she informs him that she volunteered her time to sit with some baby llamas. I don't know if you caught it, but Andrew made a comment. He's like, "That's great." And she replies, "I know."
Does she mean that she just sat with some llamas?
That's what she's going to do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think she was probably to find where she needs to volunteer. But yeah, just the fact that she's like, "Well, I'm going to volunteer." And he's like, "That's great." And she's like, "I know."
I'm a saint.
Yeah.
This next thing that Linda says is very cruel.
Oh
right.
my God,
So
Yeah.
they ask if they can leave. And Andrew tells Linda that they're waiting for the very rarest tigress to come out. And she makes a comment that maybe they should just throw a rock in it. Brendan looks at Andrew and is kind of like, "Yeah, let's leave."
Yeah.
And Andrew's like, "Yeah, let's get out of here."
Yuck.
I don't even like killing spiders.
Yeah.
I don't know. People who are cruel to animals, I just...
Walking red flags.
Very
Absolutely. Man, when we went to the zoo, as kids for field trips, dude, kids would get into all kinds of shit at the zoo. So the fact that he was against throwing rocks at the animals, I was like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
It was the grown adult who wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Fucking Linda.
Fucking Linda, indeed. So the next scene, we're at Andrew's apartment, and it is it's a very nice, high-rise condo apartment. Brendan's looking through a telescope, and Andrew asks if he can see the stars, and Brendan replies, "Oh, those people are famous?"
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah. And Andrew's like, "Don't look into other people's windows." And Brendan's like, "Have you ever seen any murders?" And Andrew, almost disappointed, was like, "No."
No.
Which means he's totally looking in windows too.
Absolutely.
Don't you lie.
You watch Rear Window and Disturbia. Of course you can start looking at people's homes.
Yeah.
So that's when Linda pops her head out and asks if Brendan used her blue towel.
The audacity.
Andrew makes a comment that he forgot to tell Brendan that those were her towels. And her reply was, "Of course you wouldn't. We've only lived together 5 months. Why should you remember something that's important to me?"
First of all, bitch, this is his apartment.
Yup.
Clearly his apartment.
Yup.
What are you? Why are you talking? Shut the fuck up.
Second
it's a
of
towel
all,
that you probably didn't even fucking pay for.
yeah, and why are you acting like this is something that's a common occurrence? She's like, God, of course you didn't do this thing that is a very special circumstance that is happening right now.
I just got some flashbacks. I was just, I was.
Well, Brendan offers to give the towel back, and Linda's like, can I talk to you in private, please? And Brendan's like, sure. And she's like, no. Points out she was talking to Andrew. They're having a little argument in the other room, and Brendan can totally hear everything. She's asking Andrew if she's too demanding, and he's like, no. It's funny, Brendan makes a comment. He's like, yeah, use your stupid towel. I'll even use your toothbrush. And then Linda's like, did you use my toothbrush?
And then he smiled.
His giggle to himself. He's like,
I quoted Brendan from another episode where he's like, yes, haven't brushed my teeth in 4 months.
That's the first time he's brushed them.
That's for you, Linda.
Yeah.
This is just a thing that someone's noticed about me, but whenever I'm writing and I like make a comedic character, I usually give them the name Linda.
yeah.
They've pointed it out to me about, like, I've done it like 6 different times in like different projects. One was in Eldritch Journeys. I had Nate do like this cold open thing I did where I just continuously use the name Linda. Like, not an actual character, just like an
Right.
offhanded character is always named Linda. I
Did
don't
you
know.
ever know a funny Linda?
I knew one Linda, and it was my mother's friend.
And she was hilarious.
No. I just think the name... You knew Linda.
Yeah. I think I worked with, well, I definitely worked with a Linda.
Oh, I know the Linda story.
And we were like, fucking Lindas.
I just find the name Linda to be very funny. I always like, listen, Linda. Like, I don't...
I was just going to say that because I
Listen.
know it's like the meme video, but dude, listen, Linda just rolls off the tongue so nicely. Linda. Listen.
Listen.
It's so fucking funny to me. I just wanted to point that out because every time you say Linda, I just have a little snicker to myself.
That's funny. Well, the next scene, it's the following morning, and let's watch this one.
Listen.
Good morning, Monsieur Brendan. How did you sleep, eh?
Like this.
Of course. Très bien, très bien. Would you like to start off with a tray of biens?
Hey, no thanks, but how about some OJ?
Oui. And what would you like for the cereal?
I think I will have the dinosaur-shaped sugar puff flakes.
Ah, excellent.
Thank you.
Why didn't you wake me?
Linda, did you get a roll
Didn't notice
or
his eyes.
something?
Good morning to me.
You were supposed
His
to wake me
nose.
at 7:45.
I did.
Yeah, well, you didn't do a very good job of it. It's 8:30.
I know, but
I gotta be at the Cancer Institute at 9 o'clock.
I'm sorry. I guess you fell back to sleep.
Brendan.
Oh, so you're only gonna wake me once, is that it? I get one shot and that's it. Thanks a lot. Now I gotta rush. Great. I'm gonna have a fun day at the Cancer Institute.
Well, so I was thinking, finish off at the zoo today.
Did you use my deodorant?
He did. He looked down. He did.
He
Not in
looked
his
down,
pits.
so he did.
So first off, I didn't notice it. I wrote it down because I didn't think, like, I thought that was just a dress she happened to be wearing. But the way that Brendan reacted, it was like, oh, this is clearly not a dress because it doesn't look see through to me.
No, I think it was like a sheer nightie,
Yeah.
and then like maybe just
Like a
brought in-
lingerie set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw how big Brendan's eyes were, and the way the camera is just a little bit askew, so it looked like a horror film.
Oh, Linda.
You gross, Linda.
Yeah. The fact that it's going to be a great day at the Cancer Institute.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's like, hey, Linda, it's a fucking Cancer Institute. Maybe chill a little bit.
What, you were supposed to wake me at 7:45. I did. Oh, I only get once? Is that it? I don't know why that's such a pet peeve of mine. Because, like, just wake up.
Yeah.
Stay awake.
Yeah. Or set an alarm.
Yeah.
She did. It was
Yep.
called Andrew.
Poor Andrew.
So we're back at the zoo with Brendan and Andrew. Andrew is talking about things are going to be different now that he lives closer. So there you go. They're going to spend a lot more time together. And Brendan almost excitedly is like, "Oh, will I see you next weekend?" And Andrew's like, "No, I'll be in Dallas, but I'll still be traveling a lot from work. But when I'm around, we're going to hang out more. And that's when Andrew takes another call on his earpiece. Same thing. Brendan assumes he was talking to him. Andrew's talking to Reynolds, and he tells him that he needs to get out more and that he should go to the zoo.
I feel like the zoo is Andrew's like safe space.
Yeah,
where
it seems
he goes
like it.
to like decompress.
Yeah.
Didn't he say he wanted to be a zoologist?
Yeah, he said if he wasn't a lawyer,
yeah.
he would have been a
Yeah.
zoologist.
So you might be right about that one.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets off the phone. He apologizes to Brendan and tells him it's a big case, but explains to Brendan that he wants to see him more because they're family. And that's when he informs him that he is going to ask Linda to marry him.
I don't understand that logic, Andrew.
I don't want to get into it, but a big crusade that I have is just like all of my male friends who get married to terrible people just because they have to get married, or because like that's just like that's what we're supposed to do. It's just that kills me, especially watching friends of mine make those decisions, and then it's like I gotta watch them and get treated very badly. Not a fan.
It's a hard watch.
It definitely is. For many different reasons we'll get to towards the end. But, God, especially because he seems like a good dad.
Yeah, he's a very sweet guy. I don't think he deserves that.
He really does.
I agree.
And he has money.
I mean, he's been married once before, so usually when you get married once and you understand that it's not a necessity, why would you get married again, especially to somebody who is mean?
Yeah.
Like, nobody is forcing him to get married.
No way Paula was that mean to him.
No way.
Even their interactions post-divorce are still, fun and light. And you know what I mean? She takes little jabs at him here and there, but that seems more like resentment because of the divorce and not how she typically treated him.
Do we ever find out why they got divorced?
That I'm not sure.
Wouldn't that be a nice episode?
Yeah.
Some closure.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Let's bring it back. 2025.
Then it's just going to be a bunch of like H. John Benjamin just playing as Jason.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the story of where everyone ended up today.
I just don't understand his logic as to why he would want to be married again, let alone to somebody who doesn't respect him as a person or his son. You're going to marry somebody who doesn't get along with your kid at all? Come on.
Yeah, that's...
I think, honestly, I think I overlooked that, too. Just, like, being a stepmom.
Yeah.
And then you don't like the kid. Why do you want to put yourself through that?
Mm-hmm. I just don't get it.
Well,
but it's a common occurrence, unfortunately, in life.
Really, really is.
Well, the following scene, we're at a playground with Brendan, Jason, and Melissa. Melissa's asking Brendan if he is going to stop her from marrying his father. Brendan tries to specify that he's actually trying to stop him from marrying her, and Melissa tells him that it's the same thing as long as they both agree. Jason, with a nice little seed of wisdom here, kind of points out to Brendan that his father is old enough to make up his own mind. Jason asks if he is in love, and Melissa says that if they are in love, they have to get married, and right away.
I loved that so much because Melissa can come off as like the smart one but just these little nuggets of reminding us that she's also 8 years old is very fun.
And comes from a place of being a little girl and told like this fanciful story of how love works, especially if like you grew up with like the Disney movies and stuff.
Yeah,
right.
Like it's like, if they love each other, they gotta get married right away. It's just like
they gotta get married so they can kiss.
From her little girl perspective, I'm like, yes.
It's just
I
like,
remember.
Just like the advice she gave Jason that one time when he had a crush on the nurse.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, well, did she say anything like to you? And he's like, yeah, she calls me honey. And she's like, oh, well, she likes you then.
Yeah.
Does she laugh at your jokes? Then she likes you.
Does.
Jason says, hey, Brendan, maybe this will help. The other night I walked into my parents' bedroom and they both saw me naked.
I loved that Melissa was like, why were you naked? And he's like, I just love it.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it.
The way he looks off into the distance and just kind of like grabs at his clothes.
Yeah, it's almost like he's like on his overall, like he's got his thumbs hooked in his overalls. Like, love it.
We love a plus-size king who loves his body.
Yeah. The next scene, we're at soccer practice. Coach is telling everyone to quiet down. He's like, who's talking? Melissa?
The fact that Coach, for some reason, hates Melissa and goes after her every single time and then doubles down in this episode, I'm like, oh my God, Melissa. Hang in, girl.
Right. Well, I think I brought it up in a previous episode in commentary. They brought up that simply comes from the fact that H. John Benjamin and Melissa Barton-Galsky just really bounce off each other very well.
Yeah.
And something about the way Melissa very sheepishly responds to Coach, the writers were just like, this is gold. We need to do this as much as possible.
Don't tell me when or if, but one episode I would love to see is a McGurk and Melissa episode where like they do an identifying a body type thing where they're just...
Or a McGurk and Jason episode.
I don't know. That's two chaos characters. Like
It might, but it might equal to something beautiful.
I'm not going to say they get their own episodes together, but I think there are like pretty good scenes with like Coach and Melissa and Jason and Coach. And if I'm thinking, they might be in the same episode, the first episode of season 3. So we will see. Coach goes on to introduce a new student, Eddie.
Oh, Eddie.
I love it because Coach is like, all right, Eddie, run along so I can explain to everyone what's wrong with you.
Oh, Eddie.
I tried doodling him
Oh.
because he had such an interesting character design, but I couldn't get it right, and so he just looks like a sad Bane.
Oh.
Oh. Well, Eddie has an oxygen tank. He doesn't seem to have much hair. Coach puts a helmet on him when he tells him to take off. So immediately Melissa's like, Coach, is Eddie sick? And Coach fires back at Melissa, and he's like, don't do my job for me.
God, McGurk.
And then he goes on and he's like, all right, everybody, Eddie is sick, but he's a good kid. He's like the son I never had or didn't know about.
This is where I put, like, is this episode about fathers?
Yeah. So he tells him, anyone messes with Eddie messes with me. All right, Melissa?
Oh, Melissa.
Melissa's just
Oh,
trying to
Eddie.
protect Eddie.
Yeah. They're just trying to do their best, man.
I love this part because Coach goes on to explain. He said, Eddie was born with some kind of problem and he takes medication for it. And then just kind of leaves it at that. He even is like, any questions? And you see Brendan raise his hand and he's like, good.
Does Eddie ever come back, or is this the only time we see
I think
Eddie?
this is a one-off.
So I'm correct when I put Eddie is Deddy.
No, we'll get to it later, but he is not. He is just no longer with us. Coach goes on and comments that Eddie is so small and defenseless, like a chipmunk with a disease. And then he even asks, who didn't love that analogy?
I love that line so much. Oh, my God.
Oh, so now Coach is doing this bit. He's got like a clipboard and a piece of paper. And he's like, okay, now we're going to go over my list of things to look out for with Eddie. And I call it, you know Eddie's sick if... ... And then goes on and says he stops breathing. He vomits blood. He says help. Or looks like he's saying help, like he's mouthing it. And then meanwhile in the background, you see Brendan's like looking at Eddie and then he's like, Coach, Eddie fell. And Coach is like, oh no. And he's like, did he get up?
He covered his eyes.
Give it a few seconds.
Yeah. And then finally he tells Melissa, all right, Melissa, drag Eddie off the field so we can practice. And she's just like, okay.
Okay.
I was hoping that McGurk would add this to his stand-up as far as, you know Eddie's sick if... ...
Oh, it'd probably be better than the other jokes he told on stage.
Now, does he reference stand-up comedy at all ever again? Or is that just
I wanted the soccer comic to come back.
I don't think so.
Can you be the soccer comic for Halloween next year?
I would love to be the soccer comic
That's
for
funny.
Halloween. I'll be the soccer comic for your wedding.
So the next scene, I think, Marcin, you brought this up. It shows two small versions. It shows Paula's house, and then the split screen is Andrew's condo. Mm-hmm. They're talking on the phone. Paula has a newspaper with the classified ads, and she's got a bunch of jobs circled. And then Andrew's paper has like the stocks, right? So it's just kind of an indication of where both these parties are financially. We kind of jump in the middle of conversation, and Paula's talking about how she didn't mean to laugh, but 11 years younger, my God.
Yeah, they're 11 years apart.
Yes.
So
10 years apart is fine. 11?
Yes. Adele and I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
how old is Andrew then?
Well, I believe she makes a comment about
Her being like in 22
a
or 23.
20-something.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Linda is probably, 25, 26.
I'll say 25.
And I think Andrew's supposed to be in his like mid to late 30s. So 35, 36, 37, right?
Okay. I
Which-
don't think that's bad.
No, it's really not. It's really not.
I mean, when you're in your 20s, it's not like she's 18 and he's in his 30s. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's not like her school experience was disrupted by COVID. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Ah.
Yeah. You can cut that out if you want. But still, I don't think that's bad at all.
No, I really don't see. I feel like this is coming from a place. I don't know. Is it jealousy? Is it? I don't know what it is. I feel like Paula is really having a good time kind of taking these little shots
Yeah.
at Andrew. Because she offers to have them both over for dinner and asks if Linda can stay out late.
That was so funny. I love the roasting that Paul likes to, like, especially because the last couple of episodes, she's gotten her ass kicked, dude.
Yeah.
I just like seeing her on the up for a little bit.
Right.
Just like jab, jab.
You know, if Linda wasn't such a horrible person, I would be like, that's not fair to say.
Yeah.
Because as somebody who's always dated older dudes, you do hear those comments quite often. And it's like, okay, all right. Okay, we get it. Let's all laugh together. Haha.
Yeah, she says that. Can Linda stay out late? And Andrew's like, she can. Paula says, I'll make you guys something. Well, I'll make you something. And Andrew tells her not to go out of her way. And Paula insists, no trouble, we'll have you over Thursday night. So Andrew hesitantly agrees and asks if they can bring anything. And with a very large smile, Paula says, just yourselves. And a note from her parents that she plans on staying out.
I was waiting for that part. Immediately goes back into, was it the scene with McGurk and Eddie again, like immediately after that?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to like jump on you, but I have a note about what he does to Eddie.
Yeah, so let's jump into it. The next scene, it's a soccer ball slowly rolling down the field, and we see Coach McGurk stop it. He tells Eddie, nice kick, and he warns him, all right, Eddie, this one's going to be a little harder now. We physically see Eddie shaking his head. Like, no.
Don't.
Coach kicks the ball, and it just annihilates Eddie's face.
I wrote down Exodia obliterate. Because he kicks his teeth in. His teeth go flying.
Yeah, we see the helmet go flying. We see Coach run up to check on Eddie, and Melissa approaches him and tells him that we're getting killed out there. Coach gives Melissa the whistle and tells her, you're the coach. I'm elsewhere. I'm helping Eddie. So that's when Melissa runs out and yells at the other team, hey, other team, we quit. And Coach is like, Melissa, what did I teach you about team spirit? And Melissa says, you're right. Sticks out her butt and says, so long, suckers. Coach says, that's better. And then tries to get Eddie to respond.
I thought Eddie was like, because his eyes were open during the animation, and he was like, hey, Eddie, look up, wake up, and his eyes don't move. And he's like, come on. And then he blinks a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, he's alive.
Poor Eddie.
He knocked his teeth out.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen during baseball practice. One of the coaches like hit a ball and like banged it out to a kid. I was nowhere near the ball, but I did move out of the way. The kid got knocked right into his mouth, and I saw like the blood coming out, and like I saw 3 teeth just falling to the ground.
No, nightmare fuel.
Yeah, that stuff happens all the time. So when he kicked Eddie in the face, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Dude,
Also, every time we have said Eddie, I think of Eddie.
That's funny.
What do you think when they introduced, this is Eddie? I was like, oh, I'm going to use that for his ringtone.
Yes, absolutely.
The visual of Eddie shaking his head. No. So the next scene, we're in the Smalls kitchen. We're in Paula's kitchen. She's doing like a practice run for dinner, trying to figure out what to cook Andrew and Linda. She has Brendan taste some things and asks, what he thinks it needs. And I think Brendan's first response was better flavor. Brendan asks his mom if it bothers her that dad is getting remarried again. And she kind of skirts around the question and says that he's not getting remarried again. He's just getting remarried. Remarried again would imply that he's already been married twice. And she's like, I don't think he has. And that's when she claims, no, it doesn't bother me too much.
Not too much, eh?
Were they married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought they were just together. I didn't know if they were officially married. So
Yeah,
in my
they
head,
were.
there was another woman floating around.
No. It was just Paula. So Paul asks Brendan, you said you liked Linda, right? And Brendan clarifies, no, I said she's pretty in the morning.
I don't know. That line just fucking made me giggle.
But he also adds, though, she always seems to be in a bad mood.
Yeah. Get your shit together, Linda.
What's she going to do? She's volunteering all the time.
Well, she's got to cut out some time for therapy. What?
Oh, my gosh.
What?
You haven't seen the next episode.
No.
Interesting you say that.
Linda Stephanie crossover.
So, no.
This is a crossover
I could see them being friends.
Yeah. We do have them both in one episode.
Damn.
My birthday?
All right.
Your two favorite characters are Stephanie and Linda,
No,
right?
no. I want Stephanie to kill Linda. Tim looked at me and I was like, that wasn't a sexual joke. I want them to kill each other.
No. So after that, we're back at soccer practice. Coach is having the kids huddle up. Did you guys catch this? I guess I didn't, because I didn't write it down here, but Coach is like, all right, kids, huddle up. I got to give you some bad news. This is my favorite part of the job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I heard that.
I just heard bad news and I was like, yep.
So that's when Coach informs him that Eddie is no longer with us.
Eddie is deady.
Brendan and Melissa are both like, and Coach is like, well, hold on. Let me clarify. Eddie moved to Arizona because it's healthier there.
Is it?
You must be warm like a lizard.
We have this really quick scene between Coach and Brendan asks Coach if he misses Eddie.
I liked his line.
And Coach is like, don't be ridiculous. Eddie is sick, and you don't miss sick people.
That's a wild thing to say. That's a
reckless thing to say.
Yeah.
But then the coach quickly admits that he does miss having Eddie around, that he reminds him of a younger version of himself. Brendan says, really? And Coach says, no, but he does remind me of myself a couple years ago.
That was a good line.
I want to know what that meant.
Yeah, good question.
What was he going through a couple years ago?
But being with Eddie reminded Coach that he wants to work with kids. Brendan reminds him, you do work with kids. And Coach tells him to shut up. And he's talking about more like one-on-one stuff. So that's when he tells Brendan he's going to volunteer to be a big brother. And Brendan's like, you are big. He tells Brendan to go out on the field and show me what you got. And Brendan says, nah. So now we're in Brendan's studio. The sign on the door says small studios and laundromat. So this is Brendan, Andrew, and Linda. He's showing them the studio.
As Linda calls it, the basement.
And Linda says, yeah, it looks like a basement. And Brendan, kind of agitated, is like, it's also a basement. I don't know if you guys caught it, but there is a ton of props from movies that we have seen. There was a Holy Roller Big Wheel that Jason had. Yeah, the hands that go back and forth for Brendan Small's political speech. The microphone from the jazz battle is in there as well.
I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just saw the moving things. I think that might have been the prayer hands.
I did notice that the award that they won, right there is on top
Oh,
of
yeah.
yeah.
And they got the date table from the first date.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
A lot of little kind of Easter eggs around there. Brendan brings them over to a shelf with other movies on it and says this is all of their work. And yeah, we do see his Best Young Directors Award. Andrew, rightfully so, is like, Brendan, this is very impressive. And Linda, seems confused. She's like, let me get this straight. You guys film movies?
Yeah.
And Brendan's just like, yeah. So she excuses herself to get a glass of wine. And yeah, he's got the stink face. He is not very impressed with Linda's behavior.
He's just a kid, and Linda doesn't like kids. It's
No.
clear. She doesn't want to be part of Andrew's actual life.
Absolutely.
So this is the point. Linda goes to get some wine, and Andrew asks if they have anything that he wants to show him. And Brendan tells him, yeah, this is the current movie we are working on.
This is our current work in progress.
All Pharaohs Love and
Good morning,
War.
my dearest dear. How lovely you look over there.
You were supposed to
look-
wake me, and you didn't, and I overslept, and now I'm gonna be late for everything, and it's all your fault.
I'm sorry, but I did wake you, my pretty princess, but I guess you fell back to sleep.
Then you didn't wake me.
Oh, but I did.
How could I be awake if I was sleeping?
Well, I don't know, my shiny angel head.
It doesn't matter now anyway.
Of course not, my precious jewel.
My day is ruined.
Don't let a little cloud spoil the sunshine, cupcake face.
And did you use my red towel?
Oh, I'm sorry, Tulip, honey. I must have forgotten.
You're not supposed to use my red towel. My red towel is for me only.
Yes, I'm sorry, my beautiful bunny. Will you marry me?
Brendan, are you trying to tell me something?
No?
That would be a yes.
I love that line. Are you trying to tell me something? Also, this rewatching it, I just noticed that
Jason.
Jason took the grapes.
So a little background catch. Yeah, Jason is fanning Melissa, who is the pharaoh, and he feeds her grapes at one point, and she throws them back down, and you see Jason look down at the grapes, and then it kind of pans over to Brendan and Melissa's dialogue, and then when it pans back over, all the grapes are gone but one, and then Jason's just got grape all over his face, and actually like on his little toga thing too. So I don't know if he's like wiping his hands or face or whatever, but yeah, that was a little background action for you.
I like this thread that keeps happening with home movies and Brendan, where he just the movies he's just like throwing it, and he doesn't even realize it. Do you have anything to tell me? No. What are you talking about?
Man, you guys have foreshadowed the next episode we are recording like multiple times.
Oh my god,
It's crazy.
It is.
I can't wait to watch that.
So, well, the next scene, we are at the dinner table. Paul is asking if anyone wants any more wine. Linda and Andrew decline, but Brendan is like, yes. Paula pours herself some more wine. So Linda asks how the movie was, and Andrew's like, oh, yeah, it was good. Paula makes a comment that Brendan is very talented, and he kind of gives Linda a little like a little finger gun smile, and she doesn't really care. Paula asks how everyone's enjoying the chicken. Linda says good, and Andrew says excellent.
Their little arguments make my body hurt.
And the fact that she's just down to do it in front of anybody.
Absolutely.
It's because she enjoys it. There are some people in the world that enjoy arguing.
Or belittling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not so much the getting off on it as much as it is just the enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
The feeling of I'm in, quote unquote, I'm in the right.
Yeah. Did we touch on the fact that Paula was trying to make the worst tasting food for this dinner?
Yeah.
He's like, how does it taste? Like chalk.
Perfect.
Good.
Perfect. I think it's been a runner, or maybe it hasn't been hit on too much, but I think it's an ongoing thread in the show that Paula's just not a super good cook.
Okay. I thought she
So-
was trying to make it awful.
I don't think she was. I think that was good as it was going to get. Whatever she was feeding Brendan, though, it doesn't look like she cooked. That was some weird, maybe like soup or something. But she makes chicken. It looks like mashed potatoes. And then we have a kind of, it paused up on the screen now. I'm just going to say it. It looks like there are peas on that plate.
There are peas on the plate.
That was throwing me off. I was like, are you trying to gaslight me?
So this might have been the animators didn't quite understand the assignment, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's...
Maybe they're
beans.
lima beans, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're going to get there in like 0.2 seconds anyway. So with Andrew saying that's excellent, Linda immediately asks why Andrew always has to one-up her. He says it's not one-upping, he's agreeing. And she points out that she said good, he said excellent. If you were agreeing with me, you would have also said good. So literally this makes everyone uncomfortable. So Paula, maybe to like break the tension, is like, so you lovebirds set a date yet? And Linda's like, yeah, probably like 3 months.
That's a short time to plan a wedding.
My thoughts exactly.
As somebody who's planning a wedding, holy shit, 3 months is impossible.
Wasn't that your creative corner like 2 episodes ago?
It sure
Last
was.
episode?
Yeah.
That we purposely are doing a 2-year engagement because we didn't want that kind of like pressure and
The stress of trying to plan something in such a period of time.
not just on us, but like on our parents and,
Yeah.
people in our wedding party. And,
Absolutely.
Scheduling in general.
Oh my God. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Like 3 months is dedicated to people who don't care. Like, not just, I'm not saying like if you don't want a long engagement, you don't care about your wedding, but it's, whatever, I'm just going to get married and I'm going to get out. Like that's 3 months, whatever. They don't really when you take the time like you guys are, it's because you want to put the time into it to make it like special for you guys specifically.
Absolutely.
So when Linda says 3 months, Paula's response is, why wait?
Do you think Paula gets a kick out of the fact that Linda is mean to Andrew, or do you think she gets upset that she's mean to Andrew?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Because this is the question of how Paula actually feels about Andrew.
Yeah.
She loves the digging, but she's clearly still got some mixed feelings for the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not just that way, but I would argue the other way around too, because it's literally when Paula says, why wait? That's when Linda asks Paula if she is seeing anybody and if 3 months is enough time for her to find a date. And that's when Andrew is like, pass the peas, please. And Brendan's like, we're not having peas. And he's like, he's like, something tastes like peas. Pass something. So this is when Paula says that, yeah, I actually am seeing somebody.
Do you think she was being truthful or just lying to me?
She's lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when she says that, Andrew is like, you didn't tell me you were seeing anybody.
You didn't tell me our son broke his toe.
But him mentioning that kind of tells me two things. Like, one, if he feels like if that is true, he felt that he should have been informed. But like, are they talking regularly enough that he feels like, wait, you didn't tell me that?
Yeah. But also, like, your ass is getting married, so you have no room to talk.
I don't know. I feel like between Andrew and Paula, I don't know if either of them are necessarily completely over the other.
No.
I think it's very hard to when you have a child together. Yeah. You created not only a child, but like you had a life together. So I think regardless of if the marriage worked out or not, I think you have some sort of care for that person forever.
Yeah. Paula says that, yeah, she is seeing somebody. He's a little man that goes by the name of Mr. Television. Have you heard of him? And that's when Brendan was like, Milton Burrow? He's like, Mom, he's so old. So this is like then Andrew is realizing that Paula is making a joke. And he says, Paula, don't. And that's when Paula kind of loses it and tells him, you're marrying a 20-something-year-old girl that looks like she stepped out of fashion magazine? And you're telling me don't? And that's when Andrew asks if he could excuse himself so him and Paula can talk for a second. And that's when we have that side conversation with Paula and Andrew where she's kind of whisper yelling, asking Andrew, do you know how long it's been since I've been intimate with someone? And Andrew's like, can we talk about this later? And she's like, guess. And he's like, can I guess later? And she's like, no, guess now. And that's when she confesses it's been over 2 years when she's been with someone.
Damn.
And then was immediately like, why did I just tell you that?
I was going to say, how drunk is Paula right now?
I mean, she had the wine glass in her hand.
Yep. And she had more when nobody else wanted.
Yeah.
I can never tell when Paula's actually wasted because I saw her in that episode with whatever her boss's fucking name was, and he was just
Mr. Lindenson.
Mr. Lindenson, you mean?
And that's your call!
I didn't know that she was drunk until she was like, why did I just say that? I was like, oh, she's wasted.
Yeah.
Well, while that's happening, we cut back to Linda and Brendan. Brendan asked Linda if she's using his dinosaur cup as kind of like I used your towel. Are you using my cup? And she even says, like, nice try.
I appreciate that banter from Linda because she could have been like, no, I'm not using your cup, but like, she said, nice try.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when she said nice try, Brendan kind of switches it into like a more honest conversation, and he asks, do you love my father? And she's like, what kind of question is that? And Brendan says it's the kind of question that ends with a question mark. So Linda says, yes, of course. And then Brendan is like, have you ever seen him naked? And that's when Linda's like, okay, Andrew.
I love how the smile on his face when he said that because he knew it was going to make her uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, we cut back to the zoo for like the 100th fucking time this episode. But this time it's Coach McGurk, and he's wearing a World's Best Big Brother shirt.
That he bought for himself, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, his quote-unquote little brother, who looks like he's about 20.
Yeah.
He's probably, my guess, since he's constantly asking for smokes, probably like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
Or just can't afford smokes.
I said he looked like Matthew Lillard from SLC Punk.
Yeah, I see that.
So, yeah, he asked him if he's going to buy him smokes, and Coach is like, you really shouldn't smoke. Plus, I already bought you a pack.
I didn't catch that the first time around.
Yeah. And the little brother is like, man, this is lame. And then he tells him, he's like, you're lame. And that's when Coach McGurk tells him, I'm going to call the agency tomorrow and get a better little brother because you suck as a little brother.
I don't know how the Big Brother program works necessarily. I just know it's been used in a lot of sitcoms that I've watched.
Yeah. Well, it is a real program, and it's basically exactly what McGurk is doing. You volunteer as a big brother, and you have a little brother that you take to the movies or take to the zoo or take whatever, and it's just something for people who normally don't have that kind of figure in their life.
The big sister programs?
They do, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, at this point, the little brother leaves, and that's when the various rarest tigeress comes out of the cave. And McGurk even says, wow, nice tiger.
He couldn't share it with anybody. He couldn't tell anyone.
Brendan never got to see the tigress.
Well, the next scene, we're by the monkey cages. There's a sign that says, don't feed the monkey, don't shock the monkeys, and don't spank the monkeys.
That means something else.
You
Wait,
and
what?
me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel.
That song came out when I was in 6th grade.
I think, oh shit, it did.
I was definitely in junior high.
Not to date these episodes.
But Adele was in junior high at one point.
God damn. Sorry.
It's like TikTok when it came out in 7th grade.
Not me. Junior high wasn't a thing yet when I was. I actually invented junior high.
Okay.
It's like when you were younger and you started smoking, so you were junior high.
Wow.
I'm the
Hold on,
soccer comic.
I'm doing quick math. I did get high for the first time in junior high. So,
He did invent
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
yep. And then I was like, this is so dope. I'm going to make a whole school about this. And then I went to high school.
That's fair. I got high for the first time in junior high too, but it was because they kept spraying Axe body spray throughout the locker room.
You got high
Classic.
off Axe fumes?
No, but it was funny when I said
No, but he just started chasing boys because that's what the commercials told him to do.
oh, dude, especially if it was the dark chocolate, the commercials told me to bite them.
All right. So we have Andrew and Brendan sitting together. Andrew is explaining that him and Linda do love each other, but it just doesn't always look that way because they're adults. Which, what?
I wrote down Dad is projecting onto Brendan. He's like, it'll be fine, Brendan. I promise you, it'll be fine.
He said the marriage is going to work. Yep, and they're going to be fine. He tells Brendan that he's going to be part of his life as well as his mother's life. We see Andrew take another business call and say hello, but this time it was a joke. He was just messing with Brendan.
Pranked.
It was a good bit.
Brendan asks his dad if he's even happy, and his dad says yes. Andrew asks Brendan if he's happy, and Brendan says yes, but then asks if they can go somewhere else besides the zoo. And they pull back to reveal Brendan is just like head to toe in zoo swag. He's got animals, he's got a shirt. I think he's just kind of over the zoo.
I thought it felt a lot sadder than just like I have all this merch on. It felt like he was just so sick of being taken to the only thing just because his dad likes it rather than he liking it.
Yeah. I see that.
I think they did the zoo a few times, and I think Brendan was just pretty much like, okay, we're over it.
Can we go to the country club?
Literally anything else. Well, gang, it's the last scene.
Which, oh my God.
I believe not too long ago, Marcin, we were talking about like episode endings, and Marcin's like, and then whenever it's McGurk, it's just like a shit show of like, and this is the second McGurk
And Ken
Adelberg ending.
That's been so randomly cut off.
I know that H. John Benjamin, and I keep forgetting the actor who actually plays Brendan Small.
Brendan Small.
It really?
That's his name, yeah.
Clip that.
I know we're 2 seasons in, but really?
Bro, when I did like the entire breakdown of the first episode about like the origin of home movies, I mentioned the actor, Brendan Small, and the character, Brendan Small, so it's semi-autobiographical.
I guess like you told me that first, and then I just mixed it together again. But either way, those two, isn't he the one who also plays Ken whatever?
Yeah, Brendan voices Ken Adelberg as well, yeah.
They always enjoy just like playing off of each other, so I get why they keep putting McGurk with Ken Adelberg every time.
Walter Perry is John Benjamin and Brendan Small as well.
Yeah.
Damn.
We'll get through this.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. So it's the last scene. We see a telephone ring. It's Coach McGurk calling the Big Brother agency to request a new little brother. Answering the phone is, of course, Ken Adelberg. This is what his 4th job I think we've seen him have now.
4th or 5th. Yeah.
Should we keep a list of all the jobs he's had?
We really should. Be.
Yeah. So Coach confesses that he talked to Ken yesterday because his little brother took off. And Ken was like, yeah, we remember that. And we didn't find him. And he tells Coach, like, you're not a very good influence on a little brother. He says he doesn't want to point the finger, but sometimes you got to point the finger. So Coach confesses that he's calling to try to get set up with a new kid. And Ken's like, all right, yeah, let's see what we got.
I did.
The book?
The book had Jason in it.
It did.
Yep.
Yeah.
No last name, though. Just said Jason, and it was definitely a picture of Jason.
Yeah.
And it was specifically when McGurk was asking for sick kids. So let's...
Oh.
Well, he flips through the book, and Jason is there, but he kind of passes him up. He gets to a kid named Eggman and tells Coach that he has no eyes. So Coach is like, oh, he's blind? And Ken's like, no, he just has no eyes. But then here in parentheses next to it, it says, cannot see. Coach asks if he has anything more sick, and Ken tells him, we have a kid who has one wooden leg, and the other one is plastic. Apparently, he couldn't find a matching pair.
So he has no legs.
Yes.
And that's when Coach jokes that if you can combine those two kids, the wooden leg, the plastic egg, no eyes, that would be perfect. They both kind of laugh, and that's when Coach admits, you know, I really like you, Ken. And Ken admits, I like you too. He said, I shouldn't say that, but I like you too.
Why shouldn't he say it?
I don't know. Maybe because he lost a kid?
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
That's a good point. Also, I think that was just their Walter and Perry moment where they were just joking around in the booth. They're like, you know, I like you. You're fun. You're funny.
I like you too. Yeah. So Coach even makes a comment that it's kind of weird that you're running a Big Brother agency. And Ken confesses that he normally doesn't, but the guy who does is out sick today. Cut to credits.
See,
Holy shit.
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I was standing kind of off to the side when the episode finished, and Marcin and Adele were sitting on the same couch, and they were both like,
It's such a stark difference from last week's episode where it was so tightly like the beginning matched the end and it was so
Yeah.
nicely wrapped up, and then this ending was just such like a stark end out of like nowhere, and I just
Not only on just a stark end on any episode, but on this episode.
yes.
On the episode we've been waiting since the beginning of the season about.
Yeah.
Listen, I think the episode was great. But come on, like this was the closure moment, and now there's like another little hint to it. It's like, oh, but now he's getting married. And
Well, at least we know they're going to be coming back, right?
yeah.
what if he was like, nah?
I don't know if it's too much of a spoiler to tell you that Andrew and Linda are in the next episode.
Okay.
All right.
They're just like in the background, just like they cut off McGurk when he's in this car.
Yeah.
It's one of those episodes.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think I had as much fun in this episode as I would. I think it was just like really a build up for another story in another
Yeah.
episode.
I think there's definitely a lot of foundation laying here. We had to introduce Dad. We had to introduce Linda, show their kind of...
Dynamic.
Yeah. You know, so I do understand what you're saying, and to have to wait 7 episodes for a payoff, and then the ending is that, like, oh, come on.
Right.
I'm going to call that the save some for me ending.
Yes, absolutely. I think in commentary once they call it the you just got to get out of there ending.
Yeah, I think this episode is in a whole was kind of a hard watch, just given the dynamic of Linda and Andrew. It's
Right.
just like I think we've all been in a room where like a couple is fighting openly, and you're just like, like what do I do? And it's to have that be the entire episode. It was just very hard.
To be one of the members of that couple fighting, trying to stop the fight before it goes anywhere.
Yep.
And the other one's like, no, I want to fight with you
Yeah.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely hindered my enjoyment out of it. And here's my little spark of defense for someone like, say, I don't know, Stephanie, where you're watching her break down and she's just like fun to watch, whereas you're watching Linda here and she's just mean.
Yeah.
It, like no charm to her like manic episodes where she's like, and this is for that, and this is for that, and this is for that, and Linda's here like, you know, I hate you, right? It's like, okay, damn, all right.
And I just, to the Lindas of the world, to the Lindas of the world.
Spice up your life.
Well, yes.
I'm sorry,
and-
that was a Spice Girls song.
Oh, sorry.
Lindas of the world, spice up your life.
there are dudes who treat their women like
Yeah,
this too. It's
absolutely.
not just a sex thing, you know what I mean? But when you talk to your partner like that in front of other people, the rest of us just see you, the aggressor, as a very insecure person. And that's not a good look. So before you attack somebody that you supposedly love, take a step back, maybe take a little breather, say it in your head first, and if it sounds like a piece of shit thing to say, don't say it.
Also, maybe not in front of people.
Yeah, if it was really a huge deal that you're really offended about, save it for home, where you can actually have a conversation and not make bystanders uncomfortable.
Make the car ride home uncomfortable, not the entire social situation uncomfortable.
Because ultimately, ideally a relationship is between just the people who are in it. You don't need to involve outside people.
I agree, yeah.
Especially when it's a dad getting to know his son.
Right, like their kid is there, and you have
Absolutely.
You have no interest in getting to know the kid and impressing the kid at all.
I know it's early, and it's crazy for me to say this, but our end of the season least enjoyed character, worst character of the season, I don't know if it's going to be Linda or Mr. Lindenson.
Linda or Lindenson.
Yeah.
Did they do that on purpose? Like the worst characters of the season
don't
kind of
know.
sound the same?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I'm leaning towards Linda just because at least Mr. Lindenson can make me laugh out loud.
I think that's where it is, and it's wild that they keep throwing out piece of shit characters I can't stand.
Yeah.
There's Fenton, Mr.
Yeah.
Lindenson, and
I
Linda.
forgot about Fenton. He's a shitbag too.
I
Yeah,
know.
this season we're getting all the shitbags, huh?
Yeah.
Can we get some nice, kind characters?
Right. Like Eddie. He had kind eyes. Rest in peace.
He's in Arizona.
He's not in Arizona. That's what they tell kids when they're sad.
Yeah, it's like your dog went to a farm.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this episode, or shall we jump into grades?
I miss Jason and Melissa.
Yeah, they're very
They
like
were
Jason and Melissa.
Barely in it.
It was basically that playground scene and
Yeah.
then the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
They have not been around for a bit here, and I don't know, I'm starting to miss them.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me miss that Fenton party where they were walking down the street, but it's like, I want more,
Yeah.
please.
What grade do you give Jason off of the little bit you saw?
I was going off of how I based other episode grades as far as, like, for the Holy Roller episode. I think that was the one other episode where Jason was barely in it at all, and then he had that one scene, and that's essentially what happened here, where Jason had that one scene, and he had that line that we laughed at where, why were you naked? I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, that was great. And he even hits Brendan with some very sage advice of your dad is old enough to make the decision for himself. It's really not your place.
It's true.
I don't know how I feel about these words of wisdom that Jason speaks and then immediately goes back on it every couple of episodes.
Fair.
So the words are there, but does he pay attention to his own advice? Not always. Most of the time not. So I don't know.
I've known people to not take their own advice, so it's definitely a thing.
Yeah. But that being said, he barely had anything. He didn't do anything super bad. He wasn't a brat. He had a funny line. And so I wouldn't give him an A because he didn't do something that was overly enjoyable the
Right.
jazz episode. But he did also make my time with him enjoyable. So I gave him a B+.
That's a good one. It's a good grade.
Good grade for Jason.
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it too, he didn't even have any lines in the movie.
He didn't. He was just doing some banter.
Yeah.
He was Grape Boy.
He just had the background thing of eating the grapes. So
Yeah.
very light Jason and Melissa episode, but Jason definitely his screen time was very valuable, I think.
Yeah.
All right, that's Jason grade. Do we want to give the episode itself a grade?
Yeah. Can I go?
Yeah, sure.
I think I'm going to give this one a C because it was a little hard to watch with
I get it.
Linda. It wasn't a bad episode. I always feel bad when I give it a lower grade. C is not even that bad of a grade, but it's just the whole dynamic between Linda and Andrew was a hard watch.
Yeah.
Because I've known many a Linda in my life.
I definitely feel that as well. And as much as it drives me nuts that Linda likes to initiate fights in front of other people and just her general attitude, her very first line of Andrew being like, "We're early," and she's like, "Yeah, well, so was I."
Yeah.
Not a fan, but
Somebody who likes to be angry.
yeah, but we're meeting Andrew for the first time. We're meeting Brendan's dad. We're getting these characters established. We're getting Linda established. Like I said, we're next episode. We're right back into Andrew and Linda stuff. So it definitely is going to kind of set a tone for the remainder of the season. I gave it a B-. I understand what you're saying about like her fighting in front of them and that being not a fan, but I do think it's a decent episode. Definitely not my favorite, not my least favorite. I think a B- is, I think a B- is kind of, I was floating between B- and C+, and I landed on B-.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was right there with you. I wanted to give it a C because it was just, I think it was a really well-written episode. I think I had a lot of fun with it, but there wasn't as much enjoyment out of it. Like you said, when you're with Linda, it's like, oh, and when you're with Brendan and Andrew, like that's fun. That's fun. Mm-hmm. Paula is always great.
Right.
And I love McGurk, but he was sitting there with Eddie, and I was just sad whenever he just got the teeth kicked out of him. And so I was leaning towards C, but I was like, I think this is a Foundation episode, and a Foundation episode can be better when you get the second piece to it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of holding on hope there, so I gave it a B- as well.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Okay. Any last notes before we end this episode?
I was not as disappointed with this episode as I thought I was going to be towards the end there, but like I said in my grade, I'm just hoping that something else comes of it.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Why don't we jump into those sweet, sweet plugs?
Plug me up.
All right, Marcin, why don't you go first?
I'm reaching into my bag of infinite projects here. Currently, I'm working on the sequel to my RPG podcast / audio drama. It is Puzzle Valley, is the first season. When Penny Popular's murder is recorded and sent to everyone through Snapchat, a group of teens uncover the mysteries of Puzzle Valley, the uncertainty of their future, and the secrets of those closest to them. The sequel series we're working on right now with Adele is part of it. It's a prequel set in the year 2000, and it's already looking to be one hell of a high school teen detective story. It might be too early to give away the story for that one, but as for the core of what Puzzle Valley stands for, it's about the masks other people put on us, the weight it carries, and finding the strength to take them off. Puzzle Valley means a lot to me, so if you want to listen to it, you can find it under the Eldritch Journeys banner, wherever you find podcasts.
So sometimes I paint, sometimes I make things, and sometimes I post that on my Instagram, which is the Artisanal of Oddity. That is Artisanal of Oddity at www.instagram.com. And that's my plug.
And as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Happy Corner Podcast. They were nice enough to donate equipment to us so we could keep this podcast going. So we always want to give them a nice little shout out at the end. The Happy Corner Podcast streams every Sunday at 1:45 Central. And then you can get the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. That's going to do it for this episode of Rewatching Home Movies. Join us next week for Season 2, Episode 8, Therapy. If you liked what you heard, check out our Linktree at Linktree/RHMpod. There you can like, follow, and subscribe. Send us an email or leave us a 5-star review. I will read 5-star reviews on the podcast. Thanks again, and check out Dr. Adam's podcast, The Sister Wives Professor, wherever you get podcasts. Thanks to Shannon Conway for the refresh of our logo, and Chris Bongat for the use of our theme song. On behalf of myself, Tim, and my co-host, Marcin, and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.